Up on Santa's lap, Zelensky sat queer, ready to ask him for billions of more dollars, enough for the year. Along came Trump, though, cheeks jolly with glee. You aren't getting that money, as nothing's for free. Zelensky stammered and stuttered, his eyes wide with rage. But without that money, I'll have to work minimum wage. Trump then looked at Santa and gave a slight smile. Exactly the point, he said. You've been mooching a while. Zelensky then stormed out, annoyed and dismayed. He ran to his wife, trying to get laid. Up on Santa...
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. Merry Christmas, everybody. It is Christmas Eve, and we just want to say that our Savior was born, or will be born in a couple hours. But, yeah, the reason for the season is, of course, Jesus, so don't forget that. It's not about materialism. It's not about gift-giving. And like I said, the older you get, it's like as a kid, you just care about getting gifts. Like that's all you want. You're like, I can't wait to see what I got for Christmas. Woohoo! But now it's like as you get older, it's like, man, I love giving gifts, man. Like there's nothing better than like getting someone a gift they want, or like a gag gift that they're really going to enjoy. So it's just awesome how like as you grow, you just kind of realize, man, giving gifts is so much better than getting them. Because I'm at the age where it's like, I don't know what I want. Like, I mean, if I want something, I can just go get it myself. I don't need anybody to get anything for me. So, again, Merry Christmas, everybody. And we're just here for our Trump's giving, Trump country. It's Trump Christmas special. But just be advised, it's, we're going to try to keep it light and fun. But we have some serious subject matter that we're going to be talking about today, too. So, I don't know. We're just going to go ahead and go for it, and we're just going to review as much as we can for as long as we can until we got to get downstairs and get to work. So whatever you want to start with, Chad, you are more than welcome to take us away.
All right. We'll just start it with this right here. This little thing that I saw scroll up, and it's all these great little like Christmas sweaters for all the Democratic Party right here. Hillary Clinton's wearing a serial killer one. I love a yellow school bus. Kamala will suck. Gay for Ukraine. I effed my brother. Harry Sister and I live, laugh, lube with P. Diddy.
Oh my gosh.
Cocaine and hookers for Hunter Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Alvin for Alvin Bragg. Aliens gave me. I killed California Newsom.
Did.
Booty juice. Booty
Pete, Pete hashtag butt stuff Buttigieg.
Mm-hmm. Crybaby Crenshaw.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Christmas is the bomb. Butt stuff with Diddy. Big Mike. Oh, man, these are good.
Tampon Timmy.
These are good. I don't know who did this, but it's clearly AI generated, but I love it.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Circle back.
Oh, God. That is... Butt chug champ. Good Lord.
My gosh, that's awesome. God, that's awesome. That's so good.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, but there's just so much that we could go through today. So, you want to start with more funny memes, or you want to go to do more serious stuff?
Let's start serious, and then we'll jump back into fun at the end, so we can kind of lighten things up as we go on. Because, like I said, we've had some interesting things happen around the world today, or in the last couple of days. So. However, let's start serious, and we'll try to make it lighter as we go.
All right. That is not it. I need not that one.
Gosh, that's evil too. Oh.
Let me see. I think this one starts us off right. Nope, this is another one of yours.
Yeah, it's Paul. So the message from the Apostle Paul.
There, we'll start with this one right here. Yeah, this is the
Christmas market massacre in Germany.
Yep. And this dude just plowed through, and he is an Islamic refugee. And what little information they can tell about him is they say he's right wing because he's posted pro-Israel stuff, but apparently wherever country he came from warned the Germany about him. They're like, this guy's a criminal.
Yeah, It's amazing that we won't. I mean, again, why trust an evil Saudi regime? But I mean, even if he was on the Saudis' radar, it's like. But I mean, the Saudis could have somebody on radar for being a Christian or being someone who's like against the Saudi regime. He could have farted in public. So I get why people would be skeptical of like the Saudis warning, but again, the fact that they didn't look into what the warnings were, like they're like he's a troublemaker, and then we're like troublemaker in what way? As in he's going to do something violent.
Mm-hmm.
So
Here's the
again, you
police
wonder.
arresting him right here.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what this guy's motives were. And again, you have to remember, what is it? Taqiyya is the Islamic practice of lying.
Yes.
To basically
you can lie
garner...
to your enemies.
Yes. Remember, when Islam is in power, they are not nice. When Islam isn't in power, they can fake being nice to people in order to gain trust and favor in their local population, and they infiltrate. Typically, they'll just wait till they outbreed you or they have numbers on you, and then they'll attack and get rid of the people that they don't like around there or the people they disagree with to start up their caliphate. So this guy could very well be a liar. He could just be mentally unwell. We don't know. But again, this is pretty endemic and indicative of the Islamic faith.
Yep.
It is a violent religion, and it's a religion that justifies pedophilia, rape of minors, and violence against enemies. I mean, remember, it's the last religion. Every rock and every tree will cry out, there is a Jew behind me, and they will, they're not going to stop until the rocks and the trees say there's a Jew or a Christian here, come and kill me.
Yep. But yeah, it's wild, absolutely wild that this happened.
Yeah, I mean, that video is terrifying. I mean, they just I know 5 people are dead from that incident. So, and I think there was like 32 injured.
Yes.
That is amazing, how terrifying that is. So, and there's a lot of memes and a lot of comics that have come out of this. I know the comics and the memes are funny, which is sad because how quickly we can go from this being a tragedy to us making light of it. But like I said, the comics tell the reason they're funny is because they have a deeper meaning and truth behind what they're talking about. So whenever you're ready, just start reading these off.
Okay, well, there's this one right here that I think you sent, and I think it's
yes,
relatively.
I did. Yeah.
Said it's a bunch of people just got run over by clearly an Islamic terrorist yelling Allah Akbar, and you see here, don't harbor hatred. It's just an accident. Don't blame Islam. It's a religion of peace. We colonized his country. He's just a confused young man. It's the system's fault. That is all. You can make all the excuses in the world, but it doesn't change the fact that this guy is a killer.
Yes. Again, it is a left-wing trait to basically make excuses for everyone except for white people. If you're a white cis male, you do not get any excuses had for you. But if you are anything else, if you're a young black man, well, he was he had systemic injustice performed against him his entire life, despite the fact he didn't grow up in the time of systemic injustice. It's like if you're Islamic, it's like, oh, well, we're colonizers and we had the Crusades, which was longer than slavery. It was more long ago than slavery was. Like, how crazy is that? That none of these people harbor any hatred against Christians for the Crusades. I mean, the Crusades were ultimately a defensive war against Islam. I mean, they were on the gates of Constantinople. The Catholic Church almost was destroyed.
Yeah.
The head of the head of Catholicism in Rome they were at the gates. There's a reason those walls are built up around Vatican City. It was to keep the Muslims out.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, like people don't realize is that the Muslim raiders and pirates came all the way up to France and Spain, conquering and raping and pillaging all the way up to Spain and France.
And the Crusades were such an amazing event because everyone's like, "Oh, the Crusades were so." Like, no, the Crusades were an amazing logistical and cultural phenomenon because
all the European
the Germans,
nations,
the French, the British or the English, they were all fighting wars against each other, and then the Pope was like, "My children of Christ, the barbarians are at the gates, and we are going to lose everything with you guys fighting amongst yourselves." So literally, Germans, French, and English all stopped fighting, came together, and said, "Yeah, no, we're going to liberate Jerusalem now." Mm-hmm. That is amazing. Yeah. And again, history books just gloss over it like it's nothing. It's like, no, you don't understand.
And then you have to
neighboring countries were fighting each other nonstop, and then they're like, the Muslims are coming. We're like, all right, let's go.
And then everyone realized that was the Crusades, and then that happened again with Thomas Jefferson with the Battle of Tripoli.
Yeah, I
Said
mean,
where the Marines
the famous
became
song of the
famous.
Marines. Yeah, the famous songs of the Marines. He sent like 9 Marines and a couple naval ships to basically bring to heel the Muslims in that area, and they did. They went and they recruited basically sellsword armies, and they were like, yeah, we're going to go in here. We're going to basically stop these people on the shores of Tripoli, and they did. And they're like, wait, you mean you guys just beat the British, the most powerful navy in the world? Yeah. But again, the British Navy even went to heel. Like, they were like, yeah, guess what? It's cheaper for us to pay tribute to the Muslims in all these countries than it is for us to actually fight them. And the Americans were like, nope, we'll fight. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? Again, that's why where American might comes from. It's like going, oh, so the Americans don't pay tribute to the Muslims anymore? No. Well, then the British and the French were like, I guess we're not either. We'll fight them if they start raiding our ships.
Yep. Basically. But getting on to still relevant to Germany, getting back to topic.
Yeah.
Germany, woman convicted of offending immigrant gang rapist receives longer prison sentence than the rapist.
Again, it is more wrong to be offensive to immigrant populations than it is to be killed by them. That is nuts. These people can come to your country, benefit from your robust social welfare programs, and then if they kill your citizens and violently harass and sexually assault them, the government's like, oh, they just don't understand our customs. Mm-hmm. And then whenever you criticize it, going, that's wrong, that's evil, you shouldn't do that. Knock, 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 local police. Ma'am, you made a Facebook post that you said you didn't like Muslim immigrants. And she's like, yeah. He goes, well, you're going to jail for a very long time now, ma'am.
I mean, we've been seeing that even here in the United States with people in Oklahoma getting visits from the FBI for making comments about Biden's presidency.
Yes, there's nothing. I mean, again, Facebook posts. You can. We live in America. As distasteful as it is for me to say this, and again, I'm not a proponent of racism, but what I'm telling you is, you live in a free country, and in a free country, you are allowed to be racist. You are allowed to discriminate against whoever you want. Does it make it right? No, but you live in a free country, and if we can't. Again, if you can't afford the same rights to your friends as you do your enemies, you are an authoritarian.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like you said, like what your teacher back in high school said.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's okay to be a communist. Like,
yeah,
communism's not illegal. And you're just like, well, by that logic, racism's not illegal either.
Exactly. And I just remember sitting there being shocked by that as a kid. I was like, the communists, like, or our enemies. Like, it's like, even as a kid growing up in high school, as like a 14-year-old kid, when I heard this teacher say this, it was like freshman year of high school, I think. I was like,
because they were talking about McCarthyism.
I was like, why is this? Yeah, we're talking about McCarthyism. She was like, McCarthyism's bad, and I'm just like, but he caught communists, right? And they're like, yeah, but that, they always downplay, but not a lot. And it's like, I don't know, if you caught like 72 communists, that's a pretty good number of communists. And then why is it weird that you would, question all of their associates, which was like basically everyone in Hollywood?
Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why the left doesn't like Disney, is because Disney testified against communists,
and all the communist cartoonists and writers that were employed by him got pissy about some of their friends going to jail. So that's when this whole Disney's an anti-Semite thing came out. It was his own cartoonists writing propaganda and going, yeah, he's a huge anti-Semite. It's like, who was saying that? People who worked for him who didn't like him.
Yep.
So, of course, they have nothing to lose by smearing and slandering the guy.
Yep. Next thing I have here is a comic relating to that Germany thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's this lady yelling, that foreigner is assaulting that lady. And he goes, not in Germany, you're not. And as the police, you're like, yay, here he comes. He looks at the lady that called the guy an immigrant. And it's just like, you're not allowed to say offensive things about immigrants while the lady's getting assaulted behind him.
Again, they take thought crimes and word policing more seriously than actual assaults. I mean, it wasn't in Germany where they were literally like the New Year's rape of 2020, where they were dragging women down to the subway tunnels, and they literally had like throngs of men down there just taking turns assaulting them one after the other.
Yes, that was Germany.
That's what happens when you invite
New Year's on Germany. I think back in like 2015.
That's what happens when you invite military-age males who are sexually frustrated to your country. It's like they have TikToks. They all have smartphones. Like, they see the Instagram thoughts on TikTok and Instagram, and they go, "Oh, this is what it's like in the West." And they get there and they realize that they don't have any assets. They don't have anything that Like, again, what do women want? Women want a well-off, smart competent man who's capable with his own resources. Like, you have to have resources. You have to have money. Well, when they get there, they don't have squat. So they're like, this isn't what I thought it would be like when I get here. So you have a bunch of young, frustrated men who are just like, hey. And again, in their countries, it's okay to do that to women.
Yeah.
Now, it might not be okay, but like I said, it's something that's like, again, women are second-class citizens in their country. So, and again, they view people who are not of their faith as more subhuman than their own women.
Yep. Then there's this one that you sent me. I thought it was good, too, being relevant. Like, all these countries that are having these issues right now are all anti-gun. So no guns, no mass shootings. And it shows a guy running him over with a, clearly an Islamic guy running him over with a car.
And again, that should not be funny, but it is because, again, we're the Europe and Western Europe, like, that's all they do is criticize us for our gun control laws. And I can't believe those barbaric Americans have the right to have the Second Amendment, have the right to have guns in their own house. And you see stuff like that happens, and you go, God, I'm glad to be an American. Mm-hmm. God, I'm glad that, we live in a country where people have to, like, especially here in the state of Oklahoma or Texas, or wherever you're from the South, it's like people have to be like, do I really want to risk going into this gas station and trying to hold it up? Because what if there's just a random passerby in there who has a conceal and carry, man? It's like, yeah, you live in a place where you might not be the strongest person in the room. I mean, again, that's why people specifically target those gas stations that have the anti-gun logos on the door. That's why they target movie theaters that have the anti-gun logo on the door. Again, what was that movie theater that got shut up, the Batman premiere?
Yeah,
that kid cased 3 theaters.
Yeah.
And guess which one he chose? The one that had no guns allowed on this theater.
The Boulder? It was Boulder?
Yeah,
movie
Boulder.
Theater?
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, that's just ridiculous on there. But next one that I have is relevant to Daniel Penny again. Was everyone remembers how that the Jordan Neely Daniel Penny trial went? Well, look at this. You don't need a gun to protect you. The police will protect you. And this police officer, if you've seen the video of this, it's actually wild. And I know we probably can't show it. Like, we might get in trouble for just showing this. But an immigrant, a refugee, an illegal immigrant, refugee, whatever you want to call him, set this lady on fire in the New York subway right after Kathy Hochul posts a video about the subways have been safer than ever. And then, like, literally not even 24 hours later, this happens. So New York is, like, just the key. I mean, the straight up, like, I would call it the poster child of L's, of, posting your L's.
Jesus. Yeah.
And just like, where is everyone is wishing right now that there was a Daniel Penny in this situation right here.
No kidding. I mean, how did this happen? Did this guy have like a gas can that he just dumped all over this lady?
I don't know. I didn't watch the full video because it's hard to find it. Like, people started after the fire started, not before.
And I'll tell you this, my girlfriend used to work in a burn ER unit, and she goes, if there was one way I don't want to go, it's death by fire. She goes, there is no greater hell. Like, I mean, like, the people that, like, they'll be like, you stabilize somebody, but like I said, they'll probably die in a couple, either hours or a day later because, you just scorch every nerve in your body. And she goes, there is, like, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, all I can tell you is she goes, I never want to work in a burn unit again as long as I live. And she's a nurse. She's seen terrible stuff. And I don't know. Again, this is the society that New York has cultivated. This is what happens when you have toxic empathy. It's like, allow everybody to come here. Let them benefit off us. And then, our local people and our local populations be damned.
Yep. Well, this is, I'm going to play this video. This girl's talking about it. She has a great take on it. So it says, question for all you women on the left. When a 29-year-old woman gets burned alive on the subway by an immigrant from Guatemala, where is all the outrage when it comes to protecting women? And this girl is, like, spot on this. We'll go ahead and go ahead and play this take on it.
So question for all of the women on the left. When a 29-year-old woman, not a homeless woman, not a woman on drugs, a normal woman gets burned alive on a subway by a migrant from Guatemala, where's all the outrage when it comes to protecting women, women's rights? Apparently this is just when it's, to unalive your children. But I'm just like, how are you not, like, sick to your stomach? And of course, it's a sanctuary city. It's New York. That's why these things are happening. And I'm just like, how do you sleep at night? How do you vote for this? And do you not feel like a literal walking statistic living in these places? Like, I have to intake news for work, but that was one of the sickest things I've ever seen. And if you're not paying attention, he was literally like fanning air on her to make the fire worse. I see way too many sick things like this on a daily basis. This needs to never happen again.
New York is a failed city.
Yeah. And remember, all cultures are equal. All people are equal. Remember, people are just blank slates. You can once somebody leaves their old culture from like an Islamic country or from a criminal gang run Guatemalan country, guess what? They just come here and they just immediately assimilate. The minute they step on New York city grounds, it's like, now I'm a New Yorker. I talk like this and I like hot dogs. Like, no. We have no assimilation process in this country. This is why the lie of multiculturalism. The multiculturalism has failed. Multiculturalism is bring all these cultures in and then let them stay in their own groups and their own, carve-outs of their own societies within our country. It's like, no, it's like, and you wonder why there's no trust between groups.
Yep.
Because there's no integration process.
Yep. And then you can check this out right here. Completely relevant. Radical Muslims lit a Christmas tree on fire in Al-Shaqui, I don't know how to say this, Labia.
Something 9/11.
Yeah, something terroristy. But to send an unwelcoming message to the few remaining Christians in Syria.
Yeah, and again, remember that video we showed you not that long ago, that little girl going, I'm so happy to have my country back. She's a refugee in Chicago. It's like, they're not going back. I mean, maybe they're not Christian, but I mean, it's like you see stuff like this, and it's like going, I wonder how many of those Syrian refugees are going back. And then you see crap like this, and it's like, well, clearly a certain group of people aren't welcome back in that country. I mean, native Syrians who are just happen to be the wrong religion, which is Christian. I mean, Jews, too, would probably not be welcome there either. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, look at that. It's like, welcome home.
Yeah. Then there's this one right here. I think this is in London because
Yes,
it was posted by Tommy Robinson. It says, whilst your kids are being taught to be tolerant and imported, their kids are being taught to hate your kids and everything you hold dear.
Yeah. And again, remember, in the UK, American schools haven't gotten there yet. I mean, thank goodness we're teaching the Bible back in school. Because remember, the Bible is a historical document. Now, I'll just tell you that right now. It is. Like, it is a genealogy of Christ, and it's also a historical document. I mean, the stuff that in the Bible actually happened. The more archaeological digging they do, the more we find out that, oh, wow, the Bible is right. The stuff in the Bible is true. So, it's like, that's why it's terrible that the idea of, let's say, Muslims taking over Israel is really bad because they'll destroy any Christian relics. They'll be like, nope, your history is wrong.
And the sheer fact that every single religion from Buddhism to Islam actually acknowledges Jesus.
Yeah.
Whether they say that
they don't acknowledge the divinity
of
Jesus, but they acknowledge that he existed.
Yep.
But yeah, again, in the UK though, they teach kids to pray like Muslims do. Like they go, it's just culturally enriching. Us forcing these kids to go to mosque and making them get on their hands and knees and pray. And that's what they do in Europe. Like they're forcing kids to be more inclusive and tolerant of Islam, but they would never teach the Muslim kids to go to. They don't have the balls to take Muslims to. Let's say, remember, in the Church of England is the official religion of England. They would never have the balls to take Muslims to a Christian church and make them sit through a ceremony.
Yep.
Never.
100%.
So again, and watch this. This right here is prophetic. Like this line that like this guy is warning us about.
Back in 2017, this happened.
Yeah, watch this video and we'll catch you on the tail end. But he's warning us about he basically predicted the future, and because PC culture and DEI has become so prevalent, like we don't have the courage or the nuts to stand up to radical Islam.
Yep. I'll go ahead and play this.
And let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying.
I have translation.
No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Yep, and that's what liberals do. Liberals are like, they they don't understand it. I understand them more than they understand themselves. And that's the liberal position, is I understand things more than you, even though I have nothing to do with your
this culture
religion or your culture.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is why atheists typically don't understand, because atheists always view things like, well, everything is material. Everything has to have a purpose, so somebody has to be wrong. So I was watching a review of, you remember the movie Troy with Brad Pitt?
I do.
So the guy who was reviewing it was talking about how, like, the guy obviously he's a Christian, but he loves, ancient medieval world, like the Iliad. He loves the language of Homer, the author of the Iliad and the Odyssey. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about, there has to be a reason for why people do something. He goes, and atheists, particularly filmmakers like Ridley Scott, who are atheists, don't understand why all those men went out there and fight and died. Like, there had to be a reason for it. Like, they go, we're out here to do what? And it's like, basically they just go, oh, the king told us to. And it's like, no. They were out there for honor. Like, whenever Paris kidnapped, and I said kidnapped, what's her name, went willingly. The Helen of Troy went willingly. Mm-hmm. But it was honor. Like, all those men went out there to fight for honor, because they go, Paris betrayed his own honor and betrayed the honor of everyone when he took that wife. It's like when he took
Helen of
Troy, the Spartan wife.
Mm-hmm.
So atheists have a hard time. It's like honor cult. Like, literally, like, think about it. Like, man, back in the day, even the post-Civil War, like, they had duels all the time for honor. Like, they were honor duels. Like, we're in a post-honor society now. The only place honor exists is, it's like gang culture. It's like you diss my mama, now I'm gonna kill you. It's like, that's it. But we live in a post-honor society, so people just don't understand why people would go to war for just the metaphorical idea of honor. But that's what their culture existed on. It's like, if you disobey the gods, you dishonor yourself, and you will forever be, a pariah in their eyes. Mm-hmm. So, again, atheists cannot wrap their heads around, and it's the same thing with Islam. When you have atheists and people here trying to understand, it's just, they just need jobs, and their culture will be fixed. Their problems will all be solved. It's like, no, they won't. They have an honor system in their culture within their society, and people who are atheists do not get it. They cannot wrap their heads around this religious honor culture. They just write it off as ridiculous. Sky Daddy tells us to do something, and they do it. It's like, no, there is honor, there is duty, there is your religion can give you purpose, and it can give you meaning in this chaotic, crazy life that we live in. Like, try to make sense of what you just saw on the subway there. It's like, why did that happen? Try to make sense of that Christmas market massacre. Why did that happen? And again, they turn to Sky Daddy's not good, because if he was good, he wouldn't let that stuff happen. God limits his power and allows us to have free will and make our own decisions. And we can either choose to live in sin and opposition against him, or we can choose to follow his word and be lights in the world. That's not a guarantee of happiness. It's not a guarantee of an easy life.
Yep.
It's just a guarantee that you will suffer, but you're going to be happy about it.
Setting, especially in regards to like what happened with the subway, is like, I love Actual Justice Warrior, which I highly recommend watching his channel. We've actually reviewed a couple of his videos before, but talks about how the left in that case would be like, that guy was just burning that woman because he's an innocent baby angel Aladdin that was just trying to get bread for his family. It's like, no, he wasn't. He's evil. Like, not everybody robs and steals because they're trying to feed themselves or their family. Yes. That's the liberal thought process of being poor, homeless, or
again,
a thief.
It's people making excuses for all those black people in California that keep robbing those Walgreens and all those stores. Like, if they steal under $1,000, they're not going to get prosecuted for it. So they go in there.
Now they are.
Now, thanks to Proposition 36 or whatever.
Yep.
But I mean, you basically legalize crime. It's like going, they're not stealing PlayStation. What is that Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode? Going,
yeah.
Because what's the difference between these white people robbing this grocery store? And he goes, and what's the difference between these black people robbing this
Best
Buy? He goes, well, and the girl goes, well, obviously the white people are stealing food so they can eat. Those black people are stealing, those black people are stealing stereos. And he goes, and she's like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here?
That
because
was best scenes.
Yes,
I think in
And cinematic history and TV history.
Television history is like, yep, that's 100% true. If you're stealing stereo, TVs, and electronical equipment,
You can't feed
you're
your
not
family
surviving
stereo.
yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. But anyway, we'll get to some more of these funny memes I have here. Next one here is kind of like how those other ones were. Oh, Sam, if those orcs kill Merry and Pippin, just imagine the backlash against peaceful orcs.
Yeah, again, how many times have you heard this exact conversation? I can't believe that. Why did it have to be a Muslim that did this? Now the poor Muslims are going to get so much hate spewed out against them. It's like, well, maybe rightfully so. Because, I mean, there's one religion that keeps constantly doing this thing. And it's like there's no correlation to that connection. It's like, no, I think, in this case, correlation might equal causation.
Yeah, correlation can, I said, does not always equal causation, but it can equal causation. That's the problem. Is like, you always hear that argument from one of your liberal friends, like, correlation doesn't mean causation. Well, also, it actually can mean causation in some cases.
Yep.
Next one I have here is kind of a gun-related one again. If you don't want The Handmaid's Tale, don't ban these.
Yeah, no
and it's
kidding.
two girls holding guns.
And again, the Handmaid's Tale does exist, and it exists in the Middle East, and it exists wherever Sharia law exists.
Yeah.
Ladies, I mean, look at the Handmaid's Tale outfit, and then look at a burqa, and be like, what is the difference? I don't see a difference other than the fact that they're black instead of red.
There's only two other places in the United States you could argue that it's something similar to this, and it would be Mormons. And I mean like hardcore Mormons and what are they called?
The Amish.
But the Amish are still only allowed to take one wife, so you can't really say Amish.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, the other one comparison that I see all the time that I really hate is when they compare women who wear burqas to nuns. Being a nun is a choice, and they can stop at any time. They take a vow of celibacy, and they become nuns by choice, and then that's just the outfit that they wear. It's not like they wear the freaking nun outfit all the time, too. Priests don't just wear their priest outfits all the time, too. Like, I've seen priests work out at the gym. They don't wear their attire when they go to the gym. Now, two is like, that's it. Like I said, nun is a choice, and it's basically like a process of getting closer to God. Whereas in the only one that you could argue, Muslims country, it's mandatory. See what happens
they go to
if
the
a
beach
woman's not wearing
dressed
that.
like that.
See what happens to a woman if she's not wearing her burqa in public. But anyway, we'll go on to the next one. We already showed that before. I'll skip that. There was that video we looked, and then I like this right here. Pro-life, pro-God, pro-gun. Just thought that was cool. Then our first kind of Christmas meme of the day tells me not to bring sticks into the house. Then you drag a whole tree in.
It's a confusing time for dogs.
And cats. Like, cats always climbing up the Christmas trees.
Yeah. Yep.
That's one reason why I think our sister's cat's not allowed in the house anymore.
Yep.
Love this. We're coming for your kids. My kid.
No kidding.
We won't get into that, but that was the
Charlie Kirk
at the
PolitiFest or whatever.
Yeah, America Fest, AmFest, or America Fest. Trump was there. That was a great speech. The starting video yesterday was from AmFest.
Yes.
All right. We might go into that, but a huge scam from Honey. Apparently, Honey, you remember that?
Yeah,
Has
it
been
basically takes
scamming.
away if you like put in like so Honey, like Mr. Beast and all these people were like promoting Honey, and Honey is like a web extension that allegedly gives you discounts. Like it automatically finds the best discount
and it's
for you.
supposed to give those people that have it on their page the money from any people that click on it. Well,
what it does
not
is
doing
it opens up a completely new tab so it can remove that discount page from the person that told you about it. So let's say us here at Owasso Live, like we put a link in there that said click on our link to go to this thing and you'll get our discount code. Well, guess what? If you have Honey installed, Honey will open a new tab illegally on your this Honey extension will open a new tab, take away mine and Chad's if we had one promotion link, and it would put in its own link and give it self credit for it. If you don't know this, it is illegal for any operating system to open up a new tab on your computer, but it does it so quick and so fast you don't even know it's there, and you're like, why do I have two tabs open? So yeah, Honey is about to get it's a Paycom company, like Elon Musk's original, like Paycom company. He's not part of it anymore. But yeah, no, I mean we're talking major illegal stuff. Like, I mean, there's going to be major lawsuits filed against Honey very soon.
Yep. Next thing I have here, kind of going back to like foreigners and illegals and refugees or whatever. Foreign doctors are revealed to be behind 60% of all sexual assaults on patients, but the NHS wants fewer of them to take disciplinary hearings. So that is absolutely wild. And it goes to show you, like I said, so that even makes them, they're a fraction of the population, but 60% of doctor sexual assaulters, that is insane. That means they're like 80 to 100% more likely to commit assault on a patient.
Calm down there, bigot. Easy there. Like, I mean, like, don't you know all cultures are equal? It's just part of their cultural process to be able to do that to their patients. I mean, like, their patients would appreciate it in their country. And here you are, bigoted American, talking about how their culture is inferior to yours. Why don't you just take a back seat and check your privilege?
So, yep, that's how the left would operate. That is how the left would operate right there. Very good job of that. You're a little too good at that. It's kind of scary.
Hey, man, again, remember, it's like Jonathan Hadith in all of his studies. They go, the right can more articulate the left's positions, and the left can articulate our positions.
Mm-hmm. Next one I have here is just kind of funny. It says Republicans when they're in charge, and it's bombing, some country, I would assume, and then it says Democrats in charge.
Yeah.
Same thing, except got Black Lives Matter. Yes, she can.
Gay
and
pride
gay
flag
pride
on the
stuff.
tail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's basically it.
Then this is also kind of relevant, considering we had the car issue. Apparently, a lunatic, mentally ill, non-binary person rammed into a police station here. And that's what they're talking about right here. If you want to,
yeah,
okay.
I'll
it's
check
only
this
about
out.
2
I haven't
minutes.
I haven't heard anything about this, so this is my first time seeing it.
Okay.
These details shining a brighter light on that officer-involved shooting that happened right where I'm standing, and you can see the marks that it left behind on this tree when that truck tried to run over 2 El Cajon police officers just steps away from the front door of the police department. Now, while it's back to business as usual here, it was a different story just last week, and tonight we're learning more about those involved. This was the dramatic scene just outside the El Cajon Police Department headquarters that left 1 person dead. And this is what's left just a week later. Truck tire tracks on the sidewalk and the tree scar left behind from the driver who struck an officer. Wednesday, police add another piece to the puzzle.
It was an adult female in her 20s.
That woman initially identified as Andrea Elizabeth Grube by San Diego police, but a deeper dive into San Diego court documents from 2021 shows that Grube petitioned and was granted a legal name and gender change. Police now identifying the suspect as a 24-year-old non-binary person named Benjamin Grube. They hope the release of both names helps reach those who may have known them. ABC 10 News tried reaching out to the family.
All right, yeah, I'm done with that crap. I mean, good Lord, who cares?
This is why I say we need to return to Christ, man. Like, imagine if that person, instead of getting pissy about what the world thought of them and not accepting them for what they are, it doesn't matter what the world thinks of you. You know what? The only thing that matters is it's what God and Jesus think of you. Quit trying to find acceptance and from the world. I mean, people of the world are the ones that killed the only perfect man that ever lived. Don't look for acceptance here on earth. The only people you need to worry about loving you are your family and close family. And like I said, again, sometimes your family might not be the best fit for you. Maybe you have an alcoholic dad, an abusive mom. I pray you don't. I pray you have a wonderful family life, and you can't wait to go home on the holidays and spend time with them like I do. But guess what? If you don't, you have your heavenly Father and you have Jesus who came down here and died on the cross so you could have everlasting life as long as you believe in him. So again, if I wish more people, instead of thinking selfishly and inwardly going, the world doesn't accept me. Who cares if the world accepts you? The only acceptance you need is the acceptance from the Heavenly Father.
Yep.
So, and again, this is why people who have a religion, people who have faith, like, you don't need to go to the psychologist. You don't need to go to therapy, because your therapy is your alone in prayer time with God. You can ask him for guidance, ask him for help. Mm-hmm. He might not always give you the answer you want to hear, but my goodness, it's better than paying $500 for a session, you know.
No kidding. Next one I have is CCP elections. Only one candidate, never even ran in any elections, appointed by politicians, not a single citizen voted for him, rubber stamped by a puppet parliament. His whole government is comprised of unelected and corrupt cronies. It says the EU elections, the same thing, but everyone says that it's democratic, which is 100% true. The people do not vote for the EU representatives. They are just appointed by other representatives from other nations in the EU already.
Yeah, it's evil. It's communism. It's more communism. I mean that's a perfect comparison right there. The EU is not sure, I guess it's a socialist democratic country.
I remember being a kid back in high school and young days in college where people are just like, we need to go to the Euro. We need to be a part of the EU. And I was like, that sounds awful. Having other countries dictate what your country can do. I mean, it's bad enough here in the United States where, other states or counties can dictate what one area can or can't do with their water.
Yeah. F that.
I mean, the EU is basically a giant homeowners association, and homeowners associations are awful.
Yep. F that. I choose independence.
This next one, we're just about wrapped up here, but this next one here I just thought was cool. But the guy from, remember the Titans? He's been a fat guy his whole life, and just look at him now, man. Killing it, which goes to show you that it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, look, he's older than we are. He looks be in his 40s.
Looks great.
Yeah. So there's never too late to start your New Year's resolutions and just become a beast.
Yeah. Just start. Just do it. Stop drinking sugar. Stop eating sugar. Don't do pop anymore. Like, I've cut pop out of my diet. I'm going to have some bad food over Christmas and have some pumpkin pie and stuff, but after that, I'm back off on it. I'm back on my hardcore dieting schedule. Just meat. And you, me, and Chad have been eating meat that we personally have killed. We're eating deer meat. We're eating eggs. We're eating steaks. Try to just stick with do the all meat diet. Do the Atkins diet.
Yep. Next one I have here, kind of a funny one of what just happened, but Kramer, what's going on in there? It's that huge red light from that, and it's just like, you see it's the lady being burned alive by the illegal immigrant. He goes, illegals are lighting people on fire in the subway, Jerry.
It's a good meme, but again, it's just hard.
It's
hard for me
so
to.
dark.
I mean, no time has passed. It's like you could make a 9/11 joke now, and people aren't going to be super offended by it. But that's one thing that's wrong with our culture right now. We go from, something terrible happening to it's a joke immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, joking and making light of situations is how we cope and get over things. But at the same time, it's just like this just happened.
Yeah. Next thing I have here is, noticed anything similar between, what's his name, Maggione's lawyer and him? They're dressed the same. Just, I don't know if it's a power play on his lawyer's part or what, but it's pretty freaking weird, and they're both dressed like Hey Arnold. No, not Hey Arnold. Not Hey Arnold. Arthur.
Yeah, Arthur. Yep. That is weird, man.
Yeah, creepy, man. And then this is the last one that you just sent me right here. Was 100 years of 100 years of women's rights movement just to put themselves right back in the brothel. Cincy Kraken Zero posted, famous YouTuber Zara Dar has quit her PhD to become a full-time OnlyFans content creator full-time. Good Lord. Women are, I hear this story all the time, is women who are pursuing like doctorates, PhDs, nursing degrees, whatever it is, all of a sudden it's like they realize how pretty they are and how much money they can make on OnlyFans. You're just like, my God.
I know. Just remember, girls, is it really worth your soul? Again, imagine me tipping you. It's like, oh, that's great, sweetie. Now fart in your panties and put them in your mouth. Like, that is what you are. It's like, you might be like, oh, that's beneath me, but eventually it won't be beneath you. And you have, there have been videos of nurses and now, again, a doctoral student quitting. It's like, they'll be like, I can just do OnlyFans and I can make money really fast for a short amount of time, then I can go right back to it. It's like, are you sure? There are plenty of nurses who have found out that they have been OnlyFans girls / nurses, and that their hospitals have fired them due to integrity violations. Like, it's not something that the hospital wants to be associated with. And remember, just because you quit and you scrub your page doesn't mean there's stuff that's not always going to be out there on the internet forever.
And as we've seen now, kids are committing suicide because their friends are finding their mom's OnlyFans or old accounts and stuff like that. It's disgusting.
Again, and I hate that saying where girls go, well, my kids may cry, but at least they can cry in a Ferrari. That's not going to keep them from taking their own lives because they're getting bullied so harshly at school. Again, imagine every day your kid goes to school. They pull out your phone. They go, here's your mom sucking this dude's wiener. Ha, 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 ha. Look, this is Billy's mom. Or doing something else degrading. It's like, literally, somebody will tip her a token. It's like, do this for me. Do this degrading act for me. It's like, then it could get to the point where the kids who are bullying your son are the ones that are tipping you, and they go, look what I made your mom do last night, loser. It's like, your kids are not going to survive high school if you do that. Or if they do, they're going to hate you forever, and they're never going to want to see you again. Because their entire lives was nothing but constant ridiculing and bullying their entire lives. So don't sell your soul for a couple of bucks. It's more important. You are better off just staying at your nursing job and doing something honorable and noble, even if the hours suck.
And you don't make that much money.
But guess what? At least it's honorable and noble, and no one will ever be able to say anything about your integrity.
Yep.
But when you do that and you pull that trigger and you go, you're ruining not only your life and your future job prospects. Eventually, people are going to stop caring about how pretty you are. You're going to get older, and guys are going to be like, what's the next new hot thing? You're just a toy. You're just a toy. And guess what? Next year, there's going to be a newer, hotter girl that can replace you. So don't do that.
All right. Next one that I have here, you sent me. And
this is a follow-up to a story
that
we talked about a long time ago. I'm glad that there's some closure coming to this, but the fact that
those kids ruins these kids' life for forever.
Yeah. This is disgusting, but yeah, read it.
Gay couple who showed off picture-perfect family to get 100 years in prison for horrific rape of their adopted sons, and they were pimping them out to their friends.
Yes, they were pimping them out to other gay couples. These guys are pedophiles that were allowed to adopt children. Do not let gay couples adopt kids. Do not do it. I don't know. I'm sure they're probably in California or some liberal place like Oregon or Washington. Don't let them do it. Again, this level of degeneracy, I mean, like, look at these pictures. Like, they're like, oh, we're just like you. We're just normal like everyone else. It's like the facade. And then behind the scenes, they are molesting these poor little kids that they adopted, and then they're pimping them out to their gay friends. This is what evil looks like, and that 100 years in prison is too good for them. They should both be castrated and given the death penalty. Again, and look, every time you do something to kids...
People with wide mouths. You see this thing? It's like long noses and wide mouths. I swear to God. It's like these creepy people.
Yeah. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of that guy from Back to the Future. They all remind me of Marty McFly's dad. That weird...
Oh, yeah. He's a weird dude, too.
He is a weird dude. But again, they should tack on torture charges to anyone who does something to kids. Like, they should be on top of doing a sexual assault. We add torture on, too, because they're children. I mean, they literally tortured these kids. And this is one that we know of. And again, then we have all these people who are like, you have all these women turning, again, it's like OnlyFans, but guess what? It's a rent-a-womb. These women who get paid $40,000 to carry a kid for 9 months, on top of, they get paid $40,000 for the use of their womb by gay couples. And then they get their utilities and their housing paid for by these gay couples. And then you feign some type of marriage to them, because I guarantee you these gay couples go over there and they put their head up against the belly and they feel their baby push up against the mom's stomach, and it's like the mom is just facilitating these rental room prostitute ladies are facilitating this perverse, what do you call it, like relationship that they have with this guys, and then all of a sudden they take the kid and then they disappear, and the mom just goes, well, I guess I'll be at rental room again, get paid another $40,000 for my time and services, plus get my housing and utilities paid for. It's wrong. It's gross, and this is what happens when everything becomes a business. Even your uterus becomes a business.
Yep. It's not something sacred between you and your husband. It's for anybody that needs it.
Yeah. It's so gross. It's so wrong. And, I am not for it. If you are the type of person that gets a part of that, I am not for you. I'm not for you doing that type of stuff. And I've heard I've had people in my actual life circles tell me about people that they know that do this stuff, and I'm just like, we need to shame these people. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. The problem is like I think
But
that
they-
we need to go back to public shaming criminals and stuff like that. But the problem is now is like everything's like has to be kept quiet. I mean, like even like in regards to like sending out like job applications
Or food stamps.
Yeah. It's like you remember, like I talked about that before. Where like the food stamps book was a giant catalog that you had to carry with you, and everyone knew that you were on food stamps.
Yeah.
Now they're they're
EBT
concealable
cards.
EBT cards that look like credit cards, and no one's the wiser.
Yep. And then they buy something that they're not supposed to buy on the card, and then they go, we got to figure out what item in here is something that wasn't listed on this EBT card for you to buy.
I even think they stopped that.
Jesus. And again, guess what? 90% of people on EBT cards, guess what their primary purchases are? Soda. If you are using an EBT card, you don't get the right to have sugary soda drinks. You don't have that right. You should just be like, nope, water, and you can only buy the cheapest water in the store, cheapest bottled water at the store.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can just drink the water out of the tap, too.
Yep. Next one that I have here, we'll kind of end more on a lighter note, is what people think feminism is versus what it actually is.
Yep.
The age of men is over. The time of the orc has come.
That sums it up pretty perfectly.
I would agree with that logic.
Yeah, what it feels like when you tell people you're a feminist and then what it actually looks like. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I only have these last two ones if we even want to do this one.
Yeah, what are they?
This one's your one about it's the guy. It's
yeah. So speaking of, it's that time of year that, Christ is born, our Savior is born. I wanted to, with all this trans and gay stuff, but this is it's a good video that shows that, but it's the Apostle Paul prolifically giving us a message from, I believe it's from the Corinthians, or is it the Philippians?
We'll find out.
Anyway, just check this video out, and then we'll end our video with one of our longtime watchers and our favorite watchers, Pam. She sent us a wonderful video that we're going to end out today on. So, but yeah, watch this one out, and you can hear a message from the Apostle Paul, and he'll kind of critique modern America, or a modern woke liberal philosophy here. So check it out.
I, Paul, write this greeting in my own hand. I am astonished that you are so quickly deserting the one who called you to live in the grace of Christ, and are turning to a different gospel, which is really no gospel at all. Evidently, some people are throwing you into confusion and are trying to pervert the gospel of Christ. But even if we, or an angel from heaven, should preach a gospel other than the one we preach to you, let them be under God's curse. As we have already said, so now I say again, if anybody is preaching to you a gospel other than what you accepted, let them be under God's curse. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ.
And I find that very relevant. I loved it. And the thing is like...
Well, I mean, it's relevant to everything we just talked about today. Instead of trying to appease the world and please people, don't worry about that. Just please God.
Yep. And getting back to it, it's like those who teach the false words. I mean, we're getting into,
yes.
The reason why Christianity is so prevalent is because, and why we know that, this is how we know that Islam's kind of a false word, is because it's a word that was, an illiterate person wrote it down and has no way, and we don't know. He says that Jesus isn't the true son, one, and then two, then you have all these new age pastors coming out approving of like gay and trans issues. That's false prophet. I mean, just like I had gotten to an argument with somebody that was saying that, said that they were Elijah and that, they're the word and all this, and like it was very strange. And then they were quoting Bible verses saying, God approves gay marriage and all this, and I checked all the verses that they were citing. It's like, this is a citation of like, Jesus talking about don't divorce your wife or your wife divorce your husband for anything other than sexual immorality.
Yeah.
And then also saying there was nothing in there about approving gay marriage, like at all.
Yeah.
So this is what we talk about, like those gay pastors and stuff coming out now that are like saying, Jesus was gay, Jesus was trans. and it's hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Complete hypocrisy.
Well, it's false teaching, and they'll go to hell for it. Again, God does love gay people. He loves you regardless of he loves you regardless of whatever sin you commit. I mean, remember, he turned to the guy that was getting crucified next to him, and he said, "You truly are the Son of God, and I pray that I can be forgiven of my sins and be in heaven with you." And Jesus was like, "Yep, you'll be there with me. All is forgiven." I mean, if a murderer next to Jesus can be forgiven, you can be forgiven for whatever you're trying. Like the guy that burned that lady alive, if he truly repents and asks for forgiveness from God, he could be in heaven with us on the day of judgment. If he truly repented and followed Jesus. There is no sin that God won't forgive you for. I mean, Christ came and lived and died a perfect life for us, for that reason. So, that's the beauty of it. And that's why, we celebrate Christmas, because our Lord and Savior was born. He was born into the world tomorrow morning and lived a perfect life for all of us so that we could go to heaven after living here in the testing ground, the proving ground. So that's the reason for the season. That rhymes. I love that.
Jesus is the reason for the season.
He's the reason for the season, and don't worry about the approval of the world. And there's a huge problem too. I'm going to go off tangent here, but this is why Catholics and Orthodox churches are seeing the revival and all these, Protestant. Again, this country would not be the great, amazing country that it is without independent thinking Protestants. Mm-hmm. However, since there's no, it's kind of hard to say. There's no, like the Pope is the organization behind the church, so there is an organization within the Catholic Church, which is a good thing. Like, I mean, it gives them more bona fides when it comes to like doctrinal stuff. Mm-hmm. And you have a bunch of Protestant churches, like you said, and the Protestant church just keeps fracturing. Then you get these Protestant churches that go, we believe in predestination. And you have these other Protestant churches that go, especially these Methodist churches now, where it's like, guess what? We believe that Jesus was gay, and Jesus loves gay people, and gay marriage and all that stuff, it's good because Jesus would be cool with it. It's like going, no, you're a heretic and you're preaching false prophets. And he goes, this is why people don't like the Protestant church. And I get the Catholics and the Eastern Orthodoxy's issues with the Protestant churches now. It's like, yeah, because you get these false churches splintering, fracturing off, and breaking into and teaching literal heresy. But they go, we affirm sin. If your church only tells you the things that you want to hear, and they affirm sin, you are not in a good church. If you only hear the things you want to hear, again, it's like what I harped on yesterday. Someone who loves you tells you the uncomfortable truth, the things that you don't want to have that conversation, but you have it with them because you love them as a person. You want to see them succeed in life. The people who don't care are the ones that tell you the comforting lies. No, you're perfect just the way you are. God's not going to punish you for that premarital relationship you're having. God's not going to punish you for that sodomy you're having. God loves gay people too. He does love gay people, but guess what? He doesn't love it when you live in opposition to him or his word. If you hear something within the word of God that makes you uncomfortable, it says more about you than it does the church. That's why I wanted to end on that Apostle Paul's message. I mean, you get to hear from the guy. We're talking the dude, the Jew, the Pharisee. Like, he was the Pharisee. He killed Stephen. He was one of the guys that stoned the first martyr, Apostle Paul. And all the other 12 disciples were too afraid to meet with Paul because they're going, whoa. They're like Barnabas had to arrange the meeting because they're like, Paul was like, I heard from Jesus. And then all the disciples like, screw that. I don't want to meet this dude. He killed Stephen.
So to take a Star Wars moment, all the apostles are thinking, it's a trap.
It's a trap, great Star Wars reference right there, man. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to meet Paul. And again, Paul was the guy that helped facilitate the death of the first martyr, Stephen. Yeah. And God forgave him and made him the apostle to us, the Gentiles.
Yeah, and then the other part of this, too, is that everyone, kind of getting back to the reason of the season, everyone acts like, the apostles were just lying and saying that, Jesus was alive so that way they could be rich and famous. And they're just like, well, y'all need to see how they met their ends very grimly. All of them, but two were
Peter
martyred.
was crucified and hung upside down. he was crucified upside down, then flayed alive, I believe. Paul was executed by Nero, had his head chopped off. I mean, none of the apostles lived lives that we would envy.
And when they went to live with people, they worked with them and did everything with them and stayed in their houses like free. I mean, you could argue that they were being bums, but I mean,
Bunch of freeloaders.
A bunch of freeloading hippies coming in preaching the gospel. But I mean, that's what it was. I mean, like all of them besides like what, 2 were all martyred. It's a great way. That's a great way to make yourself rich and famous, and just by tricking people. Yeah, I'm going to trick these people and just get murdered.
Yeah. So again, Jesus is the reason for the season. Spread the word. Let everyone know that your Lord and Savior was born on this holiday, on this Christian holiday, and that we are all saved because he was born, because God had the grace to send his only begotten son to die on our behalf. So that's the reason for the season. I want to thank everyone for watching the show. God bless you. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. So remember, be sure to like, share, and subscribe that you too can stay in the loop. And remember, again, God bless you. God loves you. And enjoy the holiday and this amazing Christmas with your family and friends, regardless of who your family is. If your family is just a close group of friends, or if you're spending it alone working, just remember to thank God that you have the capability to be out there and work and live your life for him and spread the word.
As we just showed you, there are people right now celebrating a Christmas without family members or being burned alive and all sorts of stuff. It could always be worse.
Yep, it could always be worse. And like I said, look for the message and like, what is God trying to teach you in those moments, instead of thinking, oh, woe is me. Job, remember, Job survived it, and he was like, had the wager between Satan and the devil. It's like going, Job loves me. He goes, well, what if you take everything from Job? Will he still love you then? And then Job did, but he still did have that come to Jesus moment where he was like, why, Lord, why? And then God didn't answer him directly. He just showed Job the world. Like he showed Job like the giant sea creatures, and he showed him the world and the universe. And Job realized, goes, God is greater than my understanding. Though he didn't give me a direct answer, I understand that his will is greater than my own. So look for the Lord's message within the chaos of life. And that's about all I got for you today. So we'll wrap up with this funny video that Pam sent us. So Pam, thank you for watching. You're awesome. And enjoy your holiday and your Christmas with your family as well. That's all I've got for you today. This is Twins with Owasso Live. We are signing off. God bless you.
Merry Christmas and see you later, everybody.